All right. Okay, so here we are. It's DES 242, logo and identity design, and this is week 3, session 2. Right now I'm speaking to Laurie. I have a file that she sent me that I'm going to fool around with tonight in part of our time. And I'm starting here because I'm going to open the file and show you a couple of things that went wrong with the file. And I don't know whether all of you know this or not, but Laurie don't know it, so I'm sure some other people in the class might not as well. So let me go and open her file. File open. This is an AI file that she sent me. Give me a second. Here it is, and hit open. Okay, so the first thing, the error message. So the error message is telling me that there's an image that's in the Adobe Illustrator file that can't be found. Now, why that's happening is because the image has been linked to this file, not embedded into the file. What embedding means is that it becomes part of the file. Linking means that it's just basically linked to it. And see, unfortunately, wherever that file is on Laurie's desktop or in her file system, it's not in my file system or on my desktop on my computer. So when the file gets here and I open it up, it looks for Laurie's file in the same place it's on her machine, and because it's not on her machine, because it's on my machine, it gets confused and it has to throw this error message saying it can't find the image. The way that that can be fixed is by Laurie embedding the image. Now, Laurie tried to embed the image and it didn't happen. So I'm going to hit ignore this for a moment. Now here's her files. Her files come up. Now if I go to my links panel right here, here it is, screenshot, and it's 2018-0122, and then there's that message right there. It's a little triangle with the exclamation point. That's basically telling me the image can't be found. So Laurie.
And I don't think it saved it right because it said yesterday. And
all right, listen, no, here's the way we solve this. Here's what we're going to do. Can you just get that image and send me that image in a email? Just send me the image in an email, and I'll show you the whole process.
Oh, sure.
Just send me an email with just the image. Don't worry about anything else, and I'll take it from there, and I'll go through the process and show you.
Okay. Let me just save.
Because these are important points of learning with Adobe Illustrator. These are things that you're going to be doing a lot of, and if you don't know how to do it, you know, this is just as good of a time as any to go through this stuff and make sure that you understand it, because it's something once you've seen it, once you know it, you know what I mean? It's not that difficult, but it is an important point. And it's the same thing with type. While Laurie's getting that, I'm going to zoom in here and show you another problem. Okay, you see the word designs right there. Laurie, see the word design?
Yeah, I'm trying to send you the...
Okay.
Here. Oh, come on. I was seeing yesterday. So weird.
God, that water tastes awful. Ugh.
What is going on? It's showing me nothing from today. I just took a screenshot of it, and it's showing nothing from today. That's why I don't think it came through right.
Was the picture missing?
No. That is so bizarre. Let me look at my desktop and see if it's there.
Well, the other thing I was pointing out is that there's a word on this first sketch that she's working on, and the word is designs, D-E-S-I-G-N-S, and it has a red highlighting over it. And that red highlighting is also telling us a message. And the message that it's telling us is that Laurie's using a font there, and the font that she's using, I can probably show you if I click on this. Look at what happens. You see how there's an underline on the word designs? That's basically telling you that what you have here is live type. Now,
right. And I just want to let you know, Bill, I came back in here and everything is embedded and it's not live. So I don't know what's going on with my desktop, but it did not send you what it was supposed to.
well, try to send it again, and I'll go and try to get it again, and we'll see whether it comes through this time.
Yeah.
If you're telling me, save your file, save the AI file.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and then send it. Maybe you didn't save the file, and maybe it sent me an unsaved file in which it wasn't embedded. I don't know. The only thing I can say is try saving the file. As a matter of fact, here's what I'd like you to do. Save the file, shut the file, send it to me, and then open the file and see whether when you open it up, that link is still embedded. Or if you want, save the file, shut it, open it, check to see whether the thing's embedded, okay? And if it's embedded, what does that little symbol look like there? Does it look like a little square graphic-y type of thing?
Yeah, and on my top toolbar, it says unembed, so it is.
Okay, yeah, so save the file, shut that file, open it back up. If it still says embedded, then send it to me, and we'll give it a try again. Because it should, if it's embedded, it should come along, and I should be okay. So we'll try it one more time.
See, and this is really weird because that screenshot I took isn't even showing up on my desktop. And the other weird thing that's happening is I can't put anything in my desktop that if I try to put something in my trash from desktop, it won't let me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what in the world is going on here at all. Well, that's really crappy if I can't even take a screenshot.
You can. I'm not exactly sure if it's possible that that screenshot is just somewhere and you're not remembering where you put it.
Well, I saved it to desktop.
You save it? You're sure you saved? You didn't move it?
No.
All right. Well, save it. Do me a favor. Save the file. Shut it. Open it. See if it appears to still be embedded. If it is, then just send it to me, and I'll see if that works.
Okay.
And I'm going to shut this thing, and I'm going to throw it away anyway, just for the heck of it. Because again, where is it? Let me see here. Let's see where did it go?
Yeah. Outline stroke.
Yeah, that's it right there. Okay, so now it's gone. All right, we're in good shape.
Save as. Replace. Sometimes it just gets a little funky.
Oh, we got a couple of other peoples here. We have Jessica and Sean. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Sean. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Laurie's working on something. She's trying to send me a file that I'm going to be doing some reviewing on. Is there anything I can review for either one of you guys? Are you interested in any of that right now or no?
I'm not.
Okay. How is your work going so far? Are you okay, Jessica?
Yeah, I'm good now. I saw the note that you left for that assignment 2.
Yeah.
And I gotta do the Cmyk colors.
Yeah.
And the RBG colors.
Yeah. Are you clear on how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can show you again if you need to see it. It's not that big of a deal.
I know I use Pantone colors, so it should be pretty easy.
Well, anyway, whatever color that you're using, you have a choice. Here's what you do. You come in here, and first of all, you can do it by double-clicking here. And I'm just going to throw a color in there so that you could see it. Okay, so here's a color. Okay, see that color right there?
Yep.
Okay. So again, I'm going to hit cancel. Double-click. One way to do it is double-click the fill, and you're going to have a color. All right, I'm putting a color because I don't have one, and right there is the RGB, so it would be R0 G73 B255, and right next to it is the CMYK numbers, which are 84%, M is 70%, Y is 0%, K is 0%, and then here is your hexadecimal numbers. Now, why these are important is because if you put colors into your branding manual or the piece that you did, which is essentially a simplified branding manual, the colors don't tell the graphic designer very much. And keep in mind that that branding manual is going to be shared by a bunch of other people who are going to work with it. They need to know what colors specifically and how to produce those colors. So those numbers right there enable them to come in here and just click and place the numbers in there. Watch, I'm just going to place some random numbers in there. You see how as I do this, yes, I'm going to change these numbers. See, it's changing.
Yep.
Okay, you see how that changed that by me putting those numbers in there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the idea. I'm going to hit cancel. Now, the other way to do it is to go into your swatches panel right here, and let's just pretend that this color here is actually my color. Well, that's not a good one. Let me hold on. There we go. I'm going to double click on that color. There. Okay. And now the swatch options come up, and excuse me, I'm choking on something. The color mode that came up with this is RGB. So there's your color, and over here there's your R, which is 0, the G, which is 165, and the B, which is 157. And all you really have to do is write that down. R equals 0, G equals 167, and B equals 157. And if you want, you can change that to CMYK, and now that very same color. And I want to show you one other thing in a minute. 78.78% for the C. M is 10.51. And you got to put those numbers down exactly because that's what makes that color. And Y is 45 and K is 0.09. Now, there's one other thing that you need to understand here. You see that little icon right there, which is like a little square that's kind of like three-dimensional?
Yes.
And that little chip there?
Yeah.
Okay. There are, look it, I'm going to show over here. It's in web color, okay? There are color gambits, color ranges. CMYK and RGB have entirely different color ranges. And a lot of times a color, and especially this color right here, will not properly reproduce it's in CMYK right now, will not properly reproduce in RGB. So in order for this to correctly produce in RGB, you would have to look for this little device here, and you'd have to click it, and that color slightly changed to adjust to a color that will work in RGB. Okay? Now watch what happens when I go from CMYK to RGB. Okay? This guy here is out of web color warning. It's out, I'm sorry, hold on. Go to CMYK. Here we go. CMYK. This is out of web. Click on that. Now it should be good in the web. It's not. It's actually still out of Gambit. So when this comes up, if you click on this CMYK and this comes up, if you're going to CMYK, you can ignore this because this is for the web. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Okay. But if you go into RGB, now this RGB didn't come up because it's in Gambit. But if I go to CMYK, click this, and then click this, if I go to RGB, it may come back up again. No, it didn't. Okay? So it actually, it's when it comes up, you look for those little devices. There's actually two of them. One is for print, and one is for web. Now, keep in mind that if it comes up and you're going to print and it's the one for web, you leave it alone. You don't have to do anything with it.
Okay.
But if the color comes up and it's the one for CMYK and it looks slightly different, the best thing to do is, let's see if I can get this to come up again. The best thing to do is when you see an icon come up here, always look for these things. What you're going to do is just sit over top of it and it'll come up and tell you what it is. So this is out of web color warning. So it means that color will not properly reproduce on the web. And so what you need to do is click that if you want to fix that color. Okay, so what you're doing here is you're basically copying the CMYK values, and then of course there's also the hexadecimal values, and those hexadecimal values also go in there because some people use them, and you can get them right there. There's your hexadecimal value right there. So that, again, two ways that you could get your color very quickly, very easy. Just double click here. The numbers RGB and CMYK are right there. And also by taking your color, double clicking it, and then you can change your color mode. And there are two color modes, and they are different, and they both are needed depending upon what you're doing. If you're working with print, you're going to change it from RGB to CMYK. If you're working on the web, you're going to make sure that you choose RGB, okay? And that's all you need to know. Everybody good?
Yep.
All right, so who else is here? Darius, you're here? You just came?
Mike, my bad. Yes, I'm here.
How are you? How's everything going? Are you okay with this class so far? You doing all right? You happy? Have any problems?
No, sir. I've just been a lot busy, just working. But
okay,
I'm following the class pretty smoothly. It's like my first time joining a live session, so I try to get in when I can.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to make sure I got everybody here, and I'm just asking general questions. Sean, how you doing? You okay?
Yep, good to go.
Everybody's good? Everybody's happy? Okay. Laurie, did you get that image sent to me?
Yeah, I did, Bill. Sorry, I'm eating. I did. All
right, let me see if I can get it.
I did give you a chat, but something's not working with my computer or desktop. I can't put anything in the trash. It's not saving any of my screenshots. An error code comes up.
All right, well, let me just see what happens here. Let me just try it. Save. Okay, now let's see if I got it. File open. And I'll explain to everybody what's going on in 1 second as soon as I get this. Okay, there is the submission. Open it. All right. Okay, now, did you see what happened? This thing, there's some weirdness going on here. But what happened here is, let me shut this thing and let me do something. Here's what's going on. I'm going to change the name of this so that I can explain what's happening here. I don't know whether... Let's go to. I need you guys to tell me something in a minute. I'm going to bring out a file here if it's still here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so here's the deal. Laurie decided she wanted me to work a little bit with the pen tool and explain a little bit about, she's working on these logos, and she wanted me to talk to her about it tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. It's like a little bit of a critique, I would say. So what happened was she sent me an AI file, okay? She sent me an AI file, and when I opened up her first AI file, I'm going to show you what happens. I'm going to file open. Here we go. And I'm going to go down to her first file, which is that one right there. And when I open it, okay, I get this. Now, let me explain what's going on, and let me ask you guys if you know how to solve this problem. When I went to open Laurie's file, Adobe Illustrator sent me this error message. That's the error message right there. You look for these error messages there are different places that they will show up. Could not find the linked file, screenshot 2018-01-22, replace with something else. I have nothing else to replace it with, so I have no choice but to just hit ignore. Okay, so before I move forward, has anyone talked to any of you about this issue yet? Do you know anything about this, any of you? Why this is happening?
She sent you the ping file, which is the screenshot. It's not the actual AI file.
No, that's not quite right. Let me explain what's going on. The reason I'm getting an error message is she has a linked file in this Adobe Illustrator file. It's linked. It means that there's a file that is not actually inside this Illustrator file completely. It's linked, okay? And because it's linked, she didn't send it with this file. So my computer has opened this file and is attempting to locate that linked file on a computer where it doesn't exist. Am I explaining this okay to you guys?
Yes.
So what's happening is it's saying, hey, I know you got this file in here, but I can't find it. You know, it's not here. I don't know what to do. You want me to replace it with something? And I have nothing to replace it with, so the only thing I can do is ignore it, okay? There's the file without it. Now, here's my links panel. This is the thing that I want you to understand. If you go to the window menu, you can go down to where it says links. And there's your links panel. And there's that file, screenshot, such and such, okay? And the error message. The error message, again, is telling you you can't find this file. Now, if this was me on my computer and I just say move that file from one folder to another, I could go in and I could find that by doing this. I could come to the drop-down menu and I could go relink. And I could click on this and it would bring up a browse window. See, I can't do it because I have to select this. Now I can do it. I can go relink. I get my browser and I can browse, you know what I mean, wherever I want to go to try to find that link if I know I can find it. I can't because I don't even have it at all. So am I making sense so far?
Yes.
All right, now let me open up the other file. Let me close this guy because we don't need it anymore. Let's go File, Open, and let me open up the other file, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so let's go down to, this is the new one. And there we go. Now, you notice that error message didn't come up. The reason the error message didn't come up is because of this. Here's your links panel. There is, you see the little piece of art?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and there's the little piece of art right there. Now, what's happening is you see that little icon right there. That little icon is where I instructed Laurie to link to this resource. So in other words, I should say, where I asked her to embed this in this resource. So there's your file. And again, if you click on this and if you go down, see where it says unembed?
Yeah.
Okay, the reason it's reading unembed is because this has been embedded. What embedded means is it has taken this piece of art and has made it a permanent link or a permanent part of this file. Now, it makes the file a little bit bigger, but by doing this, when I open it up, that resource is there, and I'm actually able to see it. When she didn't embed it, when she only had it linked, the file and Illustrator together tried to find this on my computer. It wasn't on my computer, and it certainly wasn't in the same place where she had it. It didn't come up. Okay, so this is a very important thing for you to understand when you do this work, that when you're working on something like this, if you want to show it to an instructor like me or somebody else, you have to make sure that any kind of a resource, a JPEG, a PNG, whatever it is, you have to make sure that if you want it to go along with your work, you have to make sure that it's embedded. Okay? Do we have, guys have any questions about that at all? Let me ask you this. Did any of you know this? Anybody?
I know how to link file or link them together, but I didn't know that you could get that issue.
Okay, yes. So now you understand that in the future, in any class, if you're working in a program like Adobe Illustrator, if you want to send a file to an instructor, and if the file has any kind of a bitmap in it that is an outside source that you're using for some reason, even if it's just like to trace over it or use it as a visual reference when you work, if you want that to go along with the file, before you send it to your instructor in AI form, you absolutely have to go to the links panel. You can find the links panel right up here. right there, window, links. There's the links panel. You have to click on the layer. See, there's the little layer. It's actually not a layer, it's an image, but it looks sort of like a layer. Click on that, go to the drop-down menu, and choose Embed. Now, I'm not going to click on this because I'll unembed it, which I don't want to do. Okay, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand this. This is one of the important things that you need to know about this program. There's one other thing that's kind of important I'll point out right here and right now. And does everybody see that little word design right there?
Yep.
Notice that it has a red background on it.
Yep.
Who can tell me why?
It's not made into outlines.
So what's going on?
You don't have her font.
Right. So what I'm looking at is whatever font this program, Adobe Illustrator, thinks it wants to put up there for me because it can't find the font that I'm looking for. Now, I might even be able to, let me click on this, click on that, and let me go to my character panel. And yeah, see, now, I guess this is Laurie, right? Laurie, Bodoni, SVTY2OSITCTT, bold. Right? Is that what you were using?
I don't remember, Bill.
Okay. Well, that's the one. That's the one that's shown here, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, see that little asterisk there at the end of the line, and the little asterisk there. I actually think that's a signal telling me that that font is not on my system. It can't find it. So I get this is what an error message looks like to an instructor when you send it to them.
I'm sure I didn't outline it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. These are subtle little things that I want you to understand how to do, because not only for me, but for any instructor in the future that you work with when you send stuff, so that they can actually look at what you're doing. All right? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Do me a favor, whoever that is that has that stuff in the background, shut it off or mute the mic, because it's going to be in the recording and I can't have that. All right. So, Laurie, this is you. View, fit, artboard, and window. Okay, so can you take a moment and just explain what's going on here for me?
Well, all these are guides for what none of this is finished. I was just messing around.
That's fine. I'm just trying to figure out what this is. Is that like a W? Is it a U? What is it?
I was just messing around. I really lost my creative juices, and I was in a hurry. And, so L. Laurie,
so wait a minute. Is this an L?
Yeah, this is an L. This is a V. That's a J. Of course, I don't like it, and I just put designs in there. Obviously, didn't, put anything into it. And, the same with the other ones. I'm just trying to get my creativity going. Today was an absolutely nutty day.
No, it's okay. I don't have a problem. I was just trying to figure out what it is. So what you would need to do here somehow.
I don't like anything about it at all.
No, it's okay. What you would have to do, the problem I have is I see the V very clearly. Now that you mention it, I see the L and I see the J. So what you would have to do is you would have to somehow or other work this so that the L, V, and the J become a little clearer. I think that's the major problem with it.
It shouldn't have to be deciphered by the viewer.
Yeah, there's your problem. The other thing, too, is, and again, this goes back to something that I was talking about last night. Notice that L, V, and J, I would imagine it would be LVJ Designs, correct?
Yeah. Okay,
well, see, this is the problem right away, is that this is just so small. I mean, it is ridiculous. Oh, yeah. Now, what you would do really is you would take this thing. Let's even pretend for a moment that this is okay. What you would do is you would take this thing. I don't know what's going on with this. Hold on. Where are you? Is it because of that line? That's probably what it is. Okay, because that line's involved. Hold on. Let me get that out of here if I can. Hold on. Let me get rid of that. Deselect that line. Now let me try it. That's better. Okay, so in order for this to be correct, what you'd have to do is you'd have to take this thing down to like that, okay? And then you would have to take designs, and you would have to bring designs up, and you would have to make designs more like this. So in other words, you see, you have to have, and this goes for everybody, you have to have the proper balance in your elements. Your elements have to be balanced. The symbols can't be immense monstrosities compared to the type. They have to balance out. And the symbols should be readable and very strong, okay? I was talking about this last night. I think I was talking about it when I had the that branding manual open. And I was talking about how they created their symbol. And if you take a look at the symbol that they created, there's a balance between the symbol and the text. And then they even had Roto, which was the name of the company, very neatly tucked under here, very small, you know? So that's the kind of balance that you have to strike with this. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is now I'm seeing LVJ, but it's because, you know, you told me that that's what it is. So you'd have to figure out some way of maybe changing this around a little bit. And there's one thing that comes to mind right away that could possibly work. I'm not saying that this is the perfect solution, but the first thing that comes into mind for me would be this. Let me move this out of the way. All right, let me just move that up. Whoop, guess what? I missed a part. Let me get it back where it was. I guess it was about there. Let me click on that. I'm just trying to give you a general idea. Object, I'm just going to group it for a minute and just move it up. Okay, so what I would do here is I would zoom in like this, and you have this thing. All right, so you got that thing right there. So let me go edit copy. All right, and then what I would do with this is this. I would take this thing and I would reduce it down. I would reduce this thing down. I'm holding the shift key down, and I'm just bringing it over here, and I'm reducing the thing until it's right about there. I'm going to go edit, paste in place, okay? And I've now placed a duplicate, which I'm going to hold here, hold the shift key down, and I'm going to bring it over until it hits there, okay? Now, what you're going to have to do with this thing is you're going to have to get that shape to align with that line right there. Are you guys with me so far, everybody?
Yeah.
I'm going to use the direct selection tool to try to do this. I select the direct selection tool, and I guess the first thing I'm going to do is, I don't know why there's 3 squares here, but I don't think I need all 3 of them. I'm just going to start moving that over, and actually it's going to go way over. That's not good. So I'm holding the shift key down, and I'm going to drag it down until I get it right about there. I'm holding the shift key, and I'm moving it with my mouse, okay? Now I'm going to grab with the direct selection tool, I'm going to grab the bottom one only. Now notice what I'm doing is I'm selecting one anchor point. That's what the direct selection tool does. It enables me to select only one anchor point. And by holding the shift key down, I'm going to click on that, hold the shift key down, and what that does is it enables me to carefully move that over in a straight line until I get it to align like that. See? Now, if you look at this, go View, Fit Artboard and Window, I have more like a J and an L. See? Now, what I might do is this. I might actually come in here and take that, and maybe I'll zoom in again, all right, like this. Maybe what I'll do with that is I'll move this in just a little bit more, hold the shift key down and move it in a little bit more like that, okay? And then what I could do, if I want, is I can create one more shape. Let me go up here and create one more shape, sort of like this, all right? And again, I'm doing this very roughly because I'm trying to give you the idea. Okay, now, if you look at this, let's go View, Zoom Out. That looks more like a LVJ, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
Now, I'm not saying that this is the ideal situation. I'm just trying to say, and if you want, then it's a question of positioning of this element. Okay, so how I would do that is I would go Object Lock Selection. And again, I'm just showing you a couple of different things here. I'm going to select that L and that J. All right. I'm going to go Object Group. Now that's one object. Okay. If I deselect that or unlock all, and if I select this part of it and deselect this and go Object Group. Oh, actually, it's already grouped, so I'm in good shape. I'm going to select both of these guys, and I can go to my Align panel. Where my Align panel? Right there. And if I click on Horizontal Align Center, it moved it ever so slightly to the horizontal center position. Okay? Now I know that that V is sitting perfectly centered between the L and the J. If I want, I can now take this thing, and I can move it down until I get it into a position that I like. And what I would do if I were doing this is I would probably see that nice space right there. I would probably try to make that space look about the same. And I think that's pretty close right there. Now, if I leave it this way, does it look like, would you be able to say that that's LVJ at this point, guys?
Yes.
Do you have any problems with it being LVJ at this point?
No.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, when I first saw it, it looked like it was M, sort of. I didn't know that was 3 different letters.
I thought it was a weird W myself because the line, but I thought it was a weird W. But now it looks like an LVJ. Now there's a couple of other things that I would do with this. First of all, you see how there's this is narrower than this one. I would take this guy right here, and I would go Object Ungroup. And I would take this thing and I would try to make that more even, okay? I would try to make it a little bit closer. I think probably like that's going to have to do it. This may not work. See, I'm trying to get this space to look a little bit better in here. And then, of course, to do this, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to move this guy over. And you're going to have to take this thing and you're going to have to shorten that thing right there, right? And that, I think, looks a little bit, see how that L looks a little more like that V?
Yes.
Width-wise, right?
Yes.
All right. Now this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Object Lock again. And again, this is just for all of your benefit. What I'm doing here is I'm going through the process that I generally use in order to try to come up with a design for something. This is how I go about doing it. I basically, even if I'm working on weird shapes like this, or basically just lines that I'm using, I go through the process of trying to figure out in my own mind how I can make this thing look like the letters that I want it to look like. So I've got this locked, right? This guy right here. I'm going to select the rest of this. I'm going to go Object Group. Then I'm going to go Object Unlock All again. And I'm going to select both of them again. And I'm going to come to my Align panel, and I'm going to readjust it for Horizontal Align Center. And you see it moved it over a little bit, okay? But the question is it okay that it's centered like this and that it's like this down here? I suppose it's okay. What we could do is we could move this thing over a little bit. But you get the general idea is now I got something that the letters are beginning to balance and look about correct with one another. What do you guys think?
Looks pretty good.
What do you think, Laurie? Did that help? Does that help you in your thinking of how to do this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was eating. Yeah,
Oh, that's fine.
I just did this in like 5 minutes just to try to get some shapes going and stuff like that. And then
Laurie, I know that. I absolutely know that. This is not even it's not even a judgment on that. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to show you how, you continue along a path of thinking with stuff like that. That's really what this is all about is, once you've come up with a basic idea like this, how do you look at it and evaluate it and say what is working and what's not working? And how can I make it work? And why I'm even bothered doing this is because I want you to learn the program more than anything else. Every one of you guys, I want you to feel that you walk out of this course with me knowing something about this program. And the only way to do that is for me to go through certain processes with you and give you ideas as to how to approach these things, you know?
Exactly, and that's where I'm at, is learning the program, and I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you brought this into the class tonight.
Yeah. There's a couple of other things that I would do in continuing with this. What I would do is I would come in here and get the group selection tool maybe, and I'd get that, and I'd go edit copy, and then edit paste, okay? And then what I would do is, I'm going to have to zoom in here to do this, okay? But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this thing, I wonder why that looks smaller. That's another thing, Laurie. Really what you'd have to do is you'd have to make all these elements the same. All these feet would have to be the same, because I actually think what it is you got more than one object there. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is, I'll bet you. Hold on. Let me do this. Okay, edit copy.
There's probably between 5 and 8 of them.
Yeah. And all I'm going to do with this thing is I'm just going to move that into position right there. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to, and I'd put it into position. I didn't put it into position well enough, but you get the general idea. You put that in position. Let's go edit, paste in, just paste again. Okay, and then I would take this and I would do the same over here. I'd come over here and I'd put this over here. So now when you look at this, when you go in here and look at this thing, okay, go to the View menu, Fit Artboard and Window. The question is, and I'll zoom in once more so you can see this. Let me ask you this, everybody in the room tonight, what do you guys think? Does this begin to look a little bit more LVJ-ish to you?
It does. I don't think I'd use it because it does look more like an L and more like a V and more like a J, and it's much better aligned.
Yeah.
But I'm not crazy about the J. Reminds me of a B, or I mean a D, I'm sorry.
I see a J. What do you guys think? Do you guys feel it's B-ish, or does it come across as J to you guys? What does the rest of the room think?
I think that the J part where it kind of hooks by the V, it could be shortened just a tad.
Yeah, it could. I could shorten that. I could actually take this thing. But the question I have for you is that, does this really begin to look like an LVJ? Now, the other thing that I want you all to think about is this. Laurie, this is a rough, isn't it?
That's as rough as it gets. Yeah.
Exactly. So my point is, guys, every one of you, if suddenly I did this, and forget about Laurie for a minute, I did this, and let's say, for instance, I said to myself, this thing has real promise. As a matter of fact, you know what I might do for next week's class? I may actually take this thing and see whether I can make this thing work properly and show you next week what I could do with this if I want. If I wanted to make this thing work, what I would have to do is I would have to determine what would be the proper weight of the V, this ascender of the L, the base of the L, the ascender of the J, the ascender of the J here, and the base of the J. I would have to figure out what those weights were. Then what I'd have to do is I would have to figure out what the weights and shape of these little serifs are. And I would have to put all of those things together uniformly so that the whole thing worked correctly. Right now, this is still in a very rough stage. I'd also have to decide, would it be better, let me get a guide out here, would it be better for that V to stop here, or is it better that the V goes up higher? And maybe is it shorter? I'd have to decide all this. And I don't know, was it Darius? Was it you the one that said possibly that this should be smaller? Was it you that said that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, if I wanted to make this thing shorter, because I think that's possibly a good solution for this, all I would do really is come in here with this. Since these are basic shapes, everybody has to understand that. These are nothing but a bunch of basic shapes that she created, okay? And in my opinion, she didn't actually go about it the right way anyway. She should have just used lines, you know, like a regular stroke. I did this, I believe, the first week when I created my logo. And I showed you how to do it. I think somebody submitted something, and was it maybe even Laurie who submitted this thing? And I drew it and did it in one line. Do you remember that at all? Anybody?
I don't think it was me.
Okay, maybe it was possibly Jessica? With somebody. I don't remember. Anyway, here's the deal. What we would do with this is I would get my direct selection tool, because what I want to do is I want to get my anchor points. Now, you've got a bunch of different shapes here. Let me go object. It's not grouped. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see whether I can combine them into one, because I think they're really bothering me that there's 3 of those shapes there. So let me go to the Pathfinder. Where my Pathfinder? Right there. Okay. And combine them. Oh, that's the back one? Is that, or is it combined? I don't know. No, it's not combined. Object. Wow, why is that like that? Let me see if I can get rid of that one inside there. Delete. Okay, there we go. I'm rid of it. All right, that's it. Now, what I want to do here is this. Watch this. I want to get my direct selection tool, and I want to click on this. And again, you know that you've got the direct selection tool, and you know you got this thing properly selected when you see the little squares in the corner are white. Everybody knows that, right? And I want to select both of them at the top, so I'm going to hold the Shift key down, click the first one. With the Shift key held down, I'm going to click the second one. So now I have those 2 anchor points selected. Those 2 anchor points are not. So anything I do up here is not going to happen down here. So now I'm going to just click on the line between those 2 anchor points. And I'm going to, well, I forgot to put the Shift, I forgot to let go of the Shift key. Hold on. Let me do it again. Click on that. Hold the Shift key down, click on that, and now I can click on this line, if I can get right over it. There we go. And I'm going to bring that line down, and I want to be careful to make sure that I don't let it go off that angle. So I'm going to bring it down to, well, let's say I'll bring it down to about there for now, okay? And see, there's still one in there. I'm going to delete that. There we go. And now I'm going to take this thing, there. And now I'm going to take this thing, and I'm going to carefully move that. Oop, wrong tool. Remember to get your regular tool. And I'm going to bring that down, and now I'm going to place that there, like that. And now let's go to the, I actually need to move it down a little bit and over. That's probably better. View, zoom out. There you go. So I think it was Darius that made the comment that perhaps that J was too big. What do you think now? Did that help it?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying to you is that if you're going to try to do something like this, it's really very important to work with the pen tool and basically the direct selection tool. In this particular case, I didn't really get to use the pen tool very much, but I did use the direct selection tool to grab the basic shape. And as you can see, that's all this is. It's a basic shape. So all this is a basic shape. They're just all a bunch of basic shapes. Okay. Now, if I did the same thing with the line tool, I could come down here and I could click and drag a line, hold the Shift key down to keep it straight, and then I can click, oops, Control Z, click on my line tool here, click, I think I can do this, click, hold, and Shift drag over, and let's see if I got, there they are. Now, I think these are separate lines, though. There's my problem. So what I would do is I would get my direct selection tool. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to zoom in here, okay? I'm going to get my direct selection tool. These are 2 lines. First of all, let me put a stroke on them. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can see, look, there's 2 lines. See, there's one line. There's another line. Okay, guys? If I get the direct selection tool, I can marquee those 2 anchor points. Does everybody know what I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay. Marking those anchor points. Go to the Object menu, go to Path, and I can go Join. And you see what it did? It created one continuous shape. Okay?
Can you do that one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to delete it and delete it. And I'm going to get the pen tool, the straight line tool. I can also do this, by the way, I can also do this with the pen tool, easier. Click, hold down the Shift key, come down, click, hold over here, the shift key, click, and that's the easy way to do it. You could do that with the pen tool, okay? But with the line tool, line segment tool right there, what you're going to do is you're going to click, hold, and shift key down a line, right? Got that so far?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then you're going to come over top of where that ended, click again, hold down the shift key, and drag out another line. Now, these two lines are separate lines. They're not connected. See? That moves separately of that. Control Z. Okay? I want to turn that line and that line into one continuous line. You have an anchor point up here. You have an anchor point down there. Everybody got that, right? You all understand that?
Yeah.
Because if you understand that, you'll understand what I'm doing. Then you've got an anchor point here and an anchor point here. Now, these two anchor points, the anchor point on this one and this one, are more or less on top of one another. You got that, right? You all understand that, right?
Uh-huh.
So by taking the direct selection tool and marking both of them, now that anchor point is not selected, nor is that one. But the two anchor points that overlap each other are right there. And I want to make them one anchor point connecting that line. I go to the Object menu, I go to Path, and I go Join. And now that is one anchor point right there. Okay? Everybody got that?
Thank you, Bill.
Now I'm going to take this to the next level. I still have a shape. I'm gonna build the stroke up on this. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Okay. Now I got this nice thick line here, right? The problem is, it's a stroke. There's the stroke, and what you have is you have a stroke that shows half of its weight outside the line and half of its weight inside the line, but it's still a stroke. So I'm very limited in what I could do with this. But if I want, I can take that, and I've done this before. I'm just showing you this so that you know how to handle this. I'm going to make sure that you know how to handle these things because this is a logical progression in a way. I'm going to take this thing here, which is a line that has a stroke on it, and I'm going to turn it into a basic shape. I do that by selecting it, once again, going back to the object, and going down to where it says path, because that's what I'm messing with. I'm messing with the path. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go outline stroke. Why? Because I have a stroke. See it? I have a stroke. What I want to do is I want to outline the stroke. What that means to us is that I'm going to put an outline around that stroke, turning that stroke into a graphic shape. Okay? Object, path, outline, stroke, and now look it. See? Now watch this. If I come over here, I can get my direct selection tool. I can click on this, and I can do that. See that? If I go back here, let's go edit, undo, move. Undo, move, undo, move, undo, move, undo, move, and so on and so forth until I get it back to that. I can't do this because watch what happens when I get the direct selection tool, and if I click on that, which is the only anchor point that exists at this point, and I go that way, you see what happens? Something entirely different. Okay? So does all this make sense to you?
It does, Bill. I really appreciate it. I just, like I said, I'm going to have to watch this again, but I just learned stuff that I wish I knew.
The reason that we do these things is for this purpose. Watch this. Now, you see the angle on this thing here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to drag a guide out. All right, let's say, for instance, for some strange reason, we like that angle. All right, so I'm going to take that down to there. And I'm going to drag a guide out over here. And I'm going to put this guide, let's say I'm going to put this guide, oh, I don't know, like that. Okay, and let's say, for instance, I want to change this a little bit. Okay, what I'd like to do is I'd like to straighten this out, and I would like to angle this. I can't do that with this because this is basically the anchor point, and if I, click on it and move it around, it's going to move this whole shape. But by having this thing selected, all right, by selecting this thing, like this, and by going Object, Path, Outline, Stroke, what I can now do is I can come in here with my direct selection tool. I should put this over here so I can see it. And I can click on that anchor point right there. And I can very carefully just move that anchor point down until it is on that guide. And can you see how I straightened that line out there? And if I want, I can come over here on this one, click on it, and I can drag that one over to here, and I can create that look right there. Okay? So what I'm trying to say to you is that if you want to go in and create shapes that represent symbolic letters, there's a whole lot of ways that you could do it, and I'm trying to show you what I believe to be some of the simpler stuff that you can do. Let me ask you guys this: if I showed you any of the stuff that I've showed you here, is any of this stuff new to you, or is this all stuff you already knew?
Linking those strokes together is super helpful because I've made some designs where I can't get them to line up properly, and that's nice.
So it's not a waste of time what I'm showing you. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. I hate to waste your time, and I'm hoping that, you know, this is the kind of stuff that at least is things that you think you could find some benefit with. This program is a very beneficial program. I love the program, and in the end, what I'm hoping is that you'll grow to love this program too. And I'm trying to show you the things that will, in my mind, excite you enough that will keep you kind of interested and keep you kind of trying to build with this program. And if that's the case, then I feel maybe I've done something.
Yeah. How long have you been working on with Illustrator?
Well, probably since 2002.
Yeah, so everything that comes out of your mouth about Illustrator, I do not know. So I appreciate it all.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, again, I'm trying to not go too deep into this because I'm trying to stay doing basic things, because I feel that once the basics get stuck into your head, you're going to start exploring, and very quickly you're going to start learning how to do things with this program, because it all kind of centers around the things that I'm doing, working with lines and taking lines and turning them into shapes, and understanding that in this program everything is a basic shape. Okay? Right. And even a line is a form of a basic shape. It's a basic shape that has a line on it. It's been stroked. That's one of the things that this program does. It can stroke a line, or it can fill the contents on the inside of the line. If you put a stroke on a line, you can make the stroke as wide as you want, and then if you want, you could go in there and you can convert that into a shape. Once you have it into a shape, you can go in and you can manipulate it a whole lot of different ways. And that's one of the big key features of this program, the concept of the basic shape. And the basic shape goes through everything that you do here. So I'm really trying to focus you on that stuff so that you clearly understand that. And then this way, as you move through the other courses, that will follow you along, and you'll probably find some of the stuff that the other instructors are showing you to be, I guess, maybe a lot easier than maybe it might be. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. One other thing, let me go view fit all. One other thing for you, Laurie, is you were talking about putting like hair. There's your equestrian, your horse, whatever. One of the things that you were talking about was trying to make hair. There's ways that you could do this. First of all, you have these shapes right here. Okay, here's a shape. And what you have is you have a fill on that. That's really nothing more than a line that you put a fill on. And that's what a line looks like when you put a fill on it, okay?
Right.
But what I would do is I'd put a stroke on it, okay? And then what I would do is I would go to my brushes library, and I have the Bristle brush library, but here's my brushes library. And the brushes library enables you to apply brushes. See how I'm applying different brushes to this thing? Okay, there's a bunch of different brushes. So if you come down here, just like in your swatches, here's your swatches, you can come over here and you can click, and there are all these color books. Okay. If you come over here into the brushes, there are all these different brush types in here, okay? I opened one up. All right, let me just do this first. I've actually opened one up for you. Let me open that up for a second first. Where did it go? Here. I opened up the Bristle brush library. Okay, and I got this selected. Just going to click on a few of these things to show you what some of them look like, because this might be where you go to find your solution. And by the way, here's another interesting thing that you can do. You see how I got that brush on it and I'm showing my line there?
Yeah.
Okay, if you ever want to just look at the line and what you're doing to it without seeing this highlighting. Now, this is complicated, so pay very close attention to this. And when you do it, remember that you're doing it so you don't get yourself confused. What I'm about to show you is how you can hide that blue highlighting and just see what the stroke looks like so that you can kind of figure out what you want to do. Okay? So to do this, what you do is you got your object selected. You're going to go up to the View menu, and you're going to go to where it says Hide Edges. Now, what does Hide Edges mean to you? Anybody?
To me, I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but it would mean hide whatever. I mean, that line is an edge. An edge is a line, I guess. That's basically correct. What hide edges mean? Hide that blue line.
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. I just want to make sure I asked you about that, because I want to make sure you're clear on what I'm trying to do here, because this is something that's very valuable, because it gives you the ability to look at this in a new way. And if somebody doesn't show you this, if you don't actually try this, you don't get to experiment with this way. And this experimentation can be very helpful. So it's go to the View menu, your object selected, go to the View menu, go to Hide Edges, right there. Where are we? Right there. And now that edge is hidden, but it's still selected. So I can come through the process here and start clicking and seeing what this is going to look like with any one of these different strokes. There's one that might look like horsehair.
See, I confused myself because I used the pen tool for this. Yeah. And I have no idea how I did it, you know?
Yeah. But well, what you did is this. I'm going to get another one down here. This is what you did. You created this shape using the pen tool. I'm going to go to the View menu, and I'm going to show outline. There is the shape that you created using the pen tool, okay? Then what you did, let's go to the View menu and let's go to GPU Preview. What you did was you put a fill on it. And what you have to understand is you can't put a fill on a stroke. You can put a fill inside of a stroke. So what is happening here is, even though this is an open shape, the fill is attempting to fill the shape from that point to that point right there. It is not a closed shape. If you go to the menu again, outline, see it's an open shape.
Okay.
So what you're doing is, in fact, you're filling an open shape. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to put a stroke on it, and then you'd want to come in and you'd want to see like maybe one of these libraries and try to see what kind of a stroke you might put on it to give it that kind of effect that you might be looking for.
Right. My point is that I don't know how I did any of these with the pen tool. I mean, this was just complete trial.
Well, this is how you did it. You got the pen tool. You came over here and you clicked, and then you came over here and you clicked and you dragged. See?
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like.
Look, I'm showing you exactly what you did. This is really exactly what you did. The only difference was you had the fill on it. So you see how that looks now?
Right.
And then if you click here at that point, you have that shape. That's almost the exact same shape that you created right there. If I click on that, you see what I mean? Mine is almost the same shape.
Right. And
that's how you did it.
And then the next thing that I was going to do was let's use the pen tool. I did this once, and this was like when school, I don't know, 3 or 4 months into it, but we had to use the pen tool, and we had to trace a car and a turkey or something else.
Yeah.
But we would use I don't remember. It's under the pen tool, but there's
what you have here in the pen tools,
add and delete.
Yeah, you have add, delete, and convert. So if I take, and again, do any of you other guys, are you all good with this, with the pen tool in here, guys?
Yeah.
Not proficiently.
Well, basically, there are 4 tools. Okay, so what you would do with this is, if I wanted to, I could come over here on my line and I can click it to add an anchor point. Okay, I guess I have to select it first. Oh, view. See again, show edges. Okay, no, you see how I did that? Let's go edit, undo. Okay, so I'm going to select this thing. All right, the add anchor point. What that does is it adds an anchor point. So I'm going to add an anchor point right there. Okay, now that anchor point can be modified. I can actually take the direct selection tool and I can pull on these control handles and I can modify that one point right there, creating that shape right there.
That's right. Okay, it's bringing it back a little bit. Like I said, I haven't done it in ages. So
Right. Now, I can take the delete anchor point right here, and I can come over to this point, and I can delete that point, and now I have that shape right there.
Okay.
Okay? And if I want to convert the anchor point, I can click on this, and it will convert the anchor point. And what it'll do is it'll convert it to the other type of point that it is. You've got a curved point and you've got a straight line segment point or a corner point. I've just converted that. Now I'm going to convert it back. I'm going to click on it and drag it. And you see how I've converted it to a curved?
Right.
And if I click on it again, I've turned it back into a straight point.
Okay.
That's basically how this works. And, you know, you just build your shapes by creating multiple points and directing their, directing their control arms, which I'm attempting to do it. There we go. I got it. There's how you do it. And then the other thing that you would do is, instead of putting a fill on it, okay, because if you view this, go to the view menu, outline, see it's just a line.
Right.
And it's not even closed. But because it's a fill and the fill wants to go inside, that's what it does.
Right.
So change it to this. All right. Now, one other thing before I end this and I go on to my own stuff is I wanted to show you that. Go to your brushes panel. This is one of the brushes. But if you go down to the bottom here, there are all these different brushes in here. There's way too many of them for me to go through tonight. But what I would like you to do is keep in mind that just like in your swatches panel, the brushes panel, which you find here, window brushes right there, there are a bunch of different libraries of brushes in here. And the only thing I can tell you is when you get the opportunity to come in here and play around with some of these brushes. Now here's some hand-drawn brushes, okay? There's some hand-drawn brushes. See what I mean? So if I click on them, see what I get?
Right. Okay.
Now, I don't know whether these are going to help you for what you want to do, but you can get the idea that there's stuff in here that you could use.
Exactly.
Okay? You have to go in and you have to experiment and play with it a little bit, but ultimately they're there as well. All right? So are there any questions?
No, you answered all of my questions that I had for today. I did. Thank you and appreciate it very much, Phil.
Okay, everybody else, anything from any of you that you want to discuss before we move on?
Nope.
You're all good? I'm going to close this. All right, so these pieces of junk these are the things that I've been fooling around with, and I'm not really thrilled with any of them. But I have it's 8:07. I have about 50 minutes to go. And I thought what I would do is I would continue playing around with things and see if I can show you some things that I probably haven't shown you yet, or maybe I've shown you to remind you of some of the things that you could do with Adobe Illustrator to create symbolic shapes. So what I have here are a bunch of different symbolic shapes for WRS design. Now, again, I'm focusing right now on the WRS part of it, which means that I'm trying to build some kind of a symbolic representation of the letters WRS. You all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
And what WRS, what type of a logo, if I'm using WRS, what type of logo would I be doing?
Lettermark.
That's right, lettermark. So I'm working right now on a lettermark. Now this DESIGN, that would be what kind of a mark?
A word mark.
Perfect. That's great. So we do know something. We are learning something here, which is great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with a little bit of these. I'm going to slide over here for a second, and I'm going to show you that I have WRS. And I think the most important thing, well, there's a couple of things I want to do in preparation of this, actually, now that I think about it. Here's another thing I want to show you. This is an opinion of mine, and I think it's kind of an important opinion for me to tell you. And I could show you this next week, and I probably will show you this next week as a reminder. I'm going to open up the Swatches panel, okay? You're all familiar with the Swatches panel. When you open up the Swatches panel with a new document, that's what the panel looks like, correct? All those colors in there are not colors that you should be particularly interested in. They're just a bunch of colors that they put in there to get you started, I guess is the best way to put this. Generally speaking, when I start working on a project, I prepare myself. One of the ways that I prepare myself is I clean out this Swatches panel. I get rid of all these colors, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to generate a couple of my own colors. And so the first thing that I would do is I would come up to this drop-down menu, and I'd click on it, and I would go up to where it says select all unused colors. And when I do that, you see how they all highlight. I just come over and I click the garbage can, delete all the swatches. They're all gone, except for this one, which seems to want to stay, but I just delete it as well. I'm left with my none, my registration, and white and black, okay? Registration is a color that's used if we are going to set up printer's marks, okay? So it's kind of important that you understand that. It looks black, but you don't use registration. Registration is left alone generally, but you don't get rid of it. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
And of course, to have none in there is perfectly fine, because very often, like for instance, this has got a fill and a stroke on it, and there's none on the stroke. So it means I'm basically telling the swatches don't put anything on the stroke. So none I leave alone. Registration I leave alone. White, I don't. I either use it or I don't, depending upon the circumstances. And then of course black. Okay, so then that's what I would do. And then what I would do is, let's say for instance I am going to work on my logo, and you guys are going to be working on your logo. And so at some point in the process of this, you're going to want to generate colors for your logo. Probably what I'll do is well, no, you know what? I'm going to show you tonight. So I get it out of the way. And this way you've known it. I'm going to go back to this again. Right down in the lower right-hand corner, the Swatch Library menu. I think we talked about this before, right? Did we? Anybody remember?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. Well, in here, when you click on it, there are all kinds of colors in here. The most important thing for us as graphic designers is to realize that most of these colors are just kind of like play around colors. Although this is web colors, and web colors have value. You can use this when you're doing web work. But if we're doing work that's going to be for print, and this logo will be for print, more than likely what we want to do is we want to go to this one right there, which is color books. Okay? So keep it in mind. This is very important. Color books. All right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce two colors that I like for my logo. And you're going to produce colors for your logo. And there's a lot of ways that you could do it. But one of the best ways to do it is how we're going to do it right now. And I'm showing you this so that you can learn, and you'll get the opportunity after I get done here to ask me any questions you might want to ask, including, why, Bill, are we doing it this way? I'm going to try to explain it to you, but if you need any additional, explanation of it, now's the time to ask for it. So you got all these different color guides in here, okay? And most of them I don't do much with, okay? And they also some of them refer to different parts of the world even. But the ones that are probably the most valuable for all of us are these Pantone and Cmyk, Pantone Uncoded, Coded, Color Bridge Uncoded, Metallics, Pastels, Premiums, solids and solid uncoated. So basically, what I generally do when I create color is I generally go to Pantone plus CMYK coated. Why specifically do I do that? Because the vast majority of paper that's used today in the printing industry are coated stocks. You guys have heard the term coated stocks before, maybe?
Yes.
So a coated stock means that some sort of a varnish or a plastic fluid has been applied to the paper to make the paper sort of shiny and slick. These colors are the colors that are best prepared to go on that paper. Now, if you're working with uncoated stock or plate stock, which basically is just like hot pressed finish, and it's smooth and it's slick, but it doesn't have shine and it's not, coated, it's uncoated, you could use this. So sometimes a logo guy will do both of them. But generally speaking, what I do, because the largest majority of the print stuff that gets done today are on coated paper, including things like trifold brochures, product sheets. You guys have been through creating product sheets and trifold brochures in some other courses, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, with you, that's the kayak trifold.
Right. Now, did I know I went through this with you when I did that trifold.
Yes.
Let me ask you, whoever was that who said that, I don't know exactly who it was, but when you did this with your other instructor, did they talk about this?
Not at all.
All right. Well, look, here's the important thing. The important thing is that
You talked about it, but none of the other instructors talked about it.
I was wondering, who was it who said that, who was the other person who said it?
I haven't heard the reasoning behind it until you said it at the beginning of the week.
Okay, so you need to know. So here's the deal. There are primarily two different types of color for us graphic designers. And I'm being very dead on serious with this right now. I mean, there's no games here. This is like really our world here. Really, it's for us, not for artists. It's for us graphic designers. There are really two types of printing that we get involved in: Pantone Printing. And Pantone Printing primarily is printing where you simply have a color that is mixed to a very specific color, and it gets printed on its own separate, unique plate. The other color, CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, are made up of facets of individual components of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black in the numbers that we talked about in that color panel, right, where I told you to put the swatches down and put the color formulas in.
Right.
That's why I have you do that, and that's why I'm explaining this to you now, because those numbers relate to the amount of saturation per plate of that particular color to make the overall color. So there's a certain amount of yellow or cyan, certain amount of cyan, magenta, certain amount of yellow, and certain amount of black, or absence of black or any of those colors to make colors. And there are thousands of these colors. The reason I'm picking Pantone plus CMYK is to get the most mileage out of my chosen color. By picking Pantone's plus CMYK color, what I'm doing is I'm picking colors that are guaranteed to be consistent, whether they're used in a single application, Pantone, or whether they're being used in a process application, cyan, magenta, and yellow and black. They will be consistent in color. The only thing that I would have to worry about is if I'm going to use that on the web. And I explained to you, and I'll show you again in a minute, where you can take that into account. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Pantone, so everybody knows where I'm going here, right? I'm going here, all right? Clicking there, going to Color Books, and I'm going to Pantone CMYK Coded, and when I click it, I get this. There is my Pantone plus CMYK Coded. There are literally hundreds of colors in here, hundreds of colors, okay? And right now, I have no swatches in here. These colors that you're looking at are both available to be used in Pantone and in process. Are you guys clear with this? This is very important for you to be clear on. You have any questions about it at all?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so my explanation is pretty good?
Very.
Yes.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a couple of colors. I think what I like tonight, and I'm just doing this as just me playing around with color. You know, I'm looking at these grays. I kind of like these grays, and I think I probably like that gray right there. So in order to get this particular gray into my swatches panel, I click it, and now it appears. And actually, because this was selected, it threw that color into it, okay? So I'm going to click this and bring it back to black. Now, I think I want a blue tonight. So I think I want to go with gray, and I want to go with blue. So I'm going to now scroll down until I get into the areas of blue. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something that is in a similar vein. The blue is kind of a similar vein. I don't want a really hot blue, see, like that's a pretty hot blue. I want something that's a little bit on the gray side to go along with this color over here. So I think I'm looking somewhere in this neighborhood right there. And this, you know, I may not ever use this. I'm just doing this because I'm thinking, you know, of what kind of colors I want to play with. So I'm going to click on that color right there, and now I've got those two colors, okay? And I'm going to set this back to black. Now that I've done that, I can literally close this thing because I'm done. Now I have my colors in here, and there's a couple of things that I want you to make note of. Number one, these colors, unlike the other colors that were in there, have the little corner chipped away. Do you see it? You guys understand what I'm talking about here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm pointing this out to you because this is a very important part of this process in understanding what you're looking at in this program. These are things that you need to understand so that you can really start gaining control of this whole thing. So I now have black, which has no corner chip because black is black, but I have this Pantone P44-5C, and it has that little corner chipped out white, and that blue, which is Pantone P108-4C, and these numbers don't mean much to you. Don't worry about them. You know, don't kill yourself with them. If I wanted to, I could come in here and I could change the name of this to, and I double clicked on this, I could call this Bill's Gray. Okay, and hit OK, and now it no longer says that number, it just says Bill's Gray. It's up to you if you want to do this. Or you could just leave this alone. The important thing is to understand that when you see that little corner chip like that, that is showing you a CMYK version of that color. You got that?
Yeah.
All right, now let's go to the next step, which is double click here. And we're going to go up to Bill's Gray. What color type is it showing?
Process.
Exactly. So that tells you process color. Now, it says here what color mode? RGB. So color mode RGB is showing. So if I wanted to, if I was creating a swatch sample of this and I wanted to put my color in here as RGB, I could copy these numbers and that should make that color, right?
Right.
Based on what I've been telling you so far. Am I correct on that, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the problem, though. Look at right here.
Yeah.
Out of web color warning. All right, so we talked about that a minute ago. What is that logo telling you?
It's not going to work for the web.
Right, so in other words, this really nice color that you got here isn't really going to work right for the web because the web is not going to know how to generate that color exactly. And unfortunately, and this is very sad, because if you take a look right here, this is more or less telling you what the color you are going to expect to get would be. So if I wanted to, I would have to click that gray to get that color, or I would have to take my chances using that color on the web and accept whatever it is that I get. Okay? I don't think I could be any clearer than this, and I think it's important for you to really understand this stuff because this is all about you as a designer controlling the work that you do and knowing what the things are that you're going to be working with and how to make sure that they fit right within the context of either a web design or a print design. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so am I throwing anybody for a loop, or are you guys okay?
I'm good.
Everybody else okay?
Yes.
So anyway, the other thing that you could do here is you could click on this, and there are different color modes that you could choose. So in my case, I'm going to go for CMYK. Now the CMYK slider comes up. This is still telling me that this is out of web or out of gambit, out of range for the web. And if I clicked on this, what would happen is that nice color would go away and I'd end up with that gray. So do I really want to do that, guys?
No.
No. All right. So, but note too that here now you have the formula for this color. So the cyan would be 37.88%. So what that means essentially is that out of 100%, possible 100%, all the way down to 0, that 37.88% cyan would be added to the mix of colors in terms of dots to make this color. The magenta, which is a kind of a reddish color, out of a percentage of 100% down to 0%, 0 being none, 100% being fully saturated, right? Am I throwing anybody with this stuff yet?
No, I'm good.
Good. So we're talking 47.11%, which means it's just a little bit less than half the value of magenta to make that color. Yellow, 43.72 out of a possible 100 to make that. And that basically is telling you that there are dots in there that are about that size to build that color. And that K is very low, very small amount of black, K meaning black. That's why they used K. But it's only 4% K, very small amount. And if you take a look at the slider, you can see the sliders are basically positioned to get that amount of that color in there. Now watch what happens when I click on the OK. Okay, here it is. Now watch this. I'm going to click on this Bill's Gray again. That's the process color. All right. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change it to spot color. All right. Now it's spot color. What did I tell you about spot color? Can somebody remind me what I said about spot color? Or process color? Pantone. Sorry, Pantone. Pantone color or spot color. Remember what I said about it?
It's take it off the shelf color.
Yeah, in other words, you buy a can of this color right there. You buy a can that is that color. When you open it up, the color is the printing ink is that color. And basically what you do is you take that ink, you smear it onto your printing machine, and you have a plate, and that plate is set up to print a solid or a half tone of that color in one specific spot, and that's it. It's a separate color. It is not made up of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So right. If for some reason I decide that something's going to be on that color in a CMYK color, how many plates do I end up with? Can anybody guess?
Five.
Who said 5?
John.
Why, Sean?
Because you have the CMYK and then you have one more.
That's exactly right. And again, I know this is, maybe sounds like nonsense. It's not. This is not nonsense at all. This is stuff that you should really know. These things are important facts. This is the part of stuff that I bring to the course, letting you know these things, because these things matter, especially to you as a designer. At some point or other, you're going to have to deal with this stuff. So, okay, so now I've got this thing set up to spot color. I hit OK. Now, I want you to take a look at what happened to that color right there. You see it? What do you see?
It puts the spot in.
Right. So when you're looking at color, and I don't care whether, Laurie, you're looking at Sean's work, or Sean, you're looking at Jessica's work, or whatever, Darius, you're looking at my work. When you open up the Swatches panel, you're going to look to see whether any one of us, whoever yours is looking at, you're going to look to see whether or not they removed all those colors, and whether, in fact, they put colors in there very specifically that you're supposed to work with. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look to see if the corner is chipped like that, and the chip is either going to have a spot in it or not. And you're going to have to determine, based on what kind of project you're working on, whether it's in fact correct to have the spot or not. And it's very important that you make the right decisions when you do this, because if you're working on something which is a process color job, a CMYK job, if I use those colors the way they are right now, I'm going to force the printer to use a 5th plate. And the printer, if he's stupid, is going to actually run this job with the 5th plate, and I'm going to get stuck having to pay for it. Now, if the printer is smart, he's going to be calling me up and he's going to be saying, hey, I mean, did you really want me to use that 5th color? And I'm going to say, no, it's supposed to be 4-color process. And he's going to say, well, then you sent me the wrong color. And then I'd have to fix it and resend the project to him. So all this counts. All this matters. It's very important for you to understand this. And that was one of the reasons why, when I was working with last week's assignment and you were creating that book, why I made a point of making you put the color formulas for RGB and CMYK in with the color swatches, because I wanted you to begin the process of understanding how important this all is to you as a graphic designer. Are we good?
Very.
All right. Now, I am going to play around with this WRS logo real quickly, I guess. I have a little time to do this. I think maybe I'm going to start off by showing you this guy right here, because I think this kind of is interesting. All right? So what I got basically, let me see what I got. So I got WRS, and you'll notice that WRS is essentially touching. So the first thing that I'm going to do with this thing is right now I have live text. I'm going to go edit copy, because I may have a chance to show you another one, edit, paste, and place. And then I'm just going to move this thing out of the way. So the first thing I want to do here with this is, and I think that the thing that I need to explain to you so that you really understand this is that aside from changing the spacing, the size, and the type of letters that you're using, there isn't a whole lot else you can do with type. I mean, if I wanted to, I could do something like this, I believe. Let me go in here. Let me create this oval. Watch when I create this oval. I'm going to create an oval very similar. I'm holding down the space bar to move this thing. I'm going to try to create an oval that's fairly similar to the oval that I'm using in the original design. I think that's probably fairly close. It might need to be a little bit bigger. It's probably, I think that's probably going to do. All right, and I'll move it over a little bit, I think, like that. Or better yet, what I could do is I could see if I could just align the two of them. Let's see if that would work.
Bill, when you're done with yours, will you take a look at a few that I've kind of been tinkering around with?
Yeah, let me do this thing, and then did you send me an email?
No, but I could screen share it if you wanted to. If
oh,
that
yeah. Okay, I could do that. Yeah, I'll do that next. I'm just going to do this for a second. All right, so look, I'm going to change this to a stroke. Okay, so there you go. And I think that's pretty close. Let me take a look and see what that one looks like. I think that's pretty close right there. Although I think probably this thing here needs to go a little that way. Or maybe this circle, this oval needs to be just a touch smaller. All right, now to make this a little bit smaller, I'm going to click on that corner. I'm holding down both the Shift and the Alt key because I want to make it smaller going in towards the center. See what I'm doing? Shift and Alt lets me make it smaller toward the center. And I think I'm going to go to right about there. That's all I need. Okay, so now if I wanted to, let me come in here and click on this thing. And let me make that a fill again. Okay, if I wanted to, I could come in here with this thing and I could go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Okay? And I could make a clipping mask just like that. But that's not what I want. Edit, undo, make a clipping mask. The reason I don't want that is because I want to play with these letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the lettering and I'm going to go Type, Create Outlines. Right there. Oops, I hit the wrong one. Type, Create Outlines. There we go. Okay, and now they're graphic shapes. So I've done this before. You know what I'm doing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, and probably what I should do is I should probably move these things down a little bit so I can get this thing to move over here so I can see it more and I can get a better sense of what I'm doing. All right, and I missed a piece of it. Let's go Edit, Undo, Move. Let me get that piece. It's obviously ungrouped. There we go. And again, just so that you know, Object Group. It's not that I'm crazy about any of these designs that I did. I'm just trying to show you things, you know, and I'm trying to do the easiest stuff first. All right, so notice that I have the W and the S touching the R. So I'm going to select this, go Object, Ungroup, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this thing, and I'm going to move this S over with the arrow key until it touches the R in a similar fashion to what I have, and that's probably pretty good right there. I think so. See, what I'm doing is I'm creating a ligature, and what I like about creating a ligature is how I create these shapes. See these cool shapes in here? And this shape becomes cool. It'll even be cooler once I get this oval properly fixed. Then I'm going to click on the W, and I'm going to walk the W over until it touches the R, and I think I want to keep it going until it reaches right about there. I think that's probably a good relationship right there. Okay, so again, what I'm trying to show you here is your job as a graphic designer is try to do things which are a step away from just regular old plain ordinary type. I mean, that's our job, is to not do just type. Our job is to come up with interesting logos and stuff. Okay, so you got to think about this. Now, what I would do next maybe is I would take those 3 letters and I could come down to my Pathfinder panel, which is, where's my Pathfinder panel? Right there. And I could come to the first one and I could click on Unite. And now I have one piece. Okay, you can see it. It's one piece. Can you see that it's merged together into one piece, a compound shape? Does everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm doing this because eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock this shape out of a black shape here. And I want all this to be done so that I get a piece of art out of it. All right, so now I got to look at this and I got to say to myself, this doesn't quite look right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the oval, and I'm going to get the scale tool, and I'm going to see if I can adjust this oval to get it to do what I want it to do. And I think I'm touching just like that. I think that's it. And I think I'm going this way until I get that. I think that's about it. It looks like it might be pretty close. I think so. I think that'll probably be okay. Again, it probably won't be exactly the same, but it'll be close. Now I'm going to select this thing, and I'm going to change the color of that to red so I can see what I'm doing. And again, I'm only doing this for visualization purposes. There we go. I'm going to go Object, Arrange, set to back. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me click on this, and let me go Edit, Copy. So I'm copying it. So now I have these 2 objects here, don't I? I have this oval shape, and I have the WRS. And I think it's probably okay just like that. So I'm going to go to Pathfinder. And once again, I'm going to choose one of these Pathfinder commands. I think the Unite will work, but if I have problems with the Unite, I'm just going to simply go down here and I'm going to divide it. Let me try Unite, see if it'll work this time. It did. Okay, so there's my Unite, and I'm just going to make it black and white so it looks more like my original. Oh, I make it. There we go. And I don't want a stroke on it. Okay, so now that looks somewhat like that, doesn't it? So far, so good, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to go Edit, Paste in place. And now I have this thing. I'm going to turn that into a stroke. So now I have a stroke sitting in front of this thing of red. Once again, I'm going to click on the Free Transform tool. I'm going to come over to my corner, click on it, hold down the Shift key, and hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to stretch that out about like this. Okay, and I'm actually making this a little bit bigger than the one that I did over there. Okay, so I can actually, if I want, I can actually make it small. But you know what? I'm going to just go with it bigger like this. I don't have to make it exactly the same. So are you with me so far, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste in place. Okay, with the Free Transform tool, click the corner. Hold the Shift key and the Alt key down, and I'm going to very carefully start bringing it back in a little bit. And I think that's probably pretty good right there. So what I have now is I have this about even here and here. See, the space is somewhat even here and here, and
Right.
the same over here. And this is getting a little bit thinner, but I think what I would like to do is I'd like to make it even thinner here at the top. So it actually looks like this goes sort of like, I don't know, like in a perspective spear around it. So what do I do to do this? I'm going to once again come over here, and I'm going to get my direct selection tool. Come in here and click on my inside shape, and I'm going to click on that bottom anchor point. Can you see the control handles out there?
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt, but okay, you clicked and it gave you that handle out to the left.
And the right.
Right, and then you clicked it again to bring the handle out to the right. Am I correct on that?
No. What I did, watch. All right. I simply have my shape here. It's just an oval. I'm going to get the direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on the shape to get it selected. I then click on the point. The reason I'm clicking on the point is because I'm focusing my attention on that point. There's 4 points here.
Right.
Okay, and my goal is to move this point and then move this point. So in order to do that, the way it is right now, all 4 of those points are deselected. I got to select a point to do this. So I'm going to click on the bottom point first. When I do that, that's when those lines came out. So technically what you were saying was correct. Yes, I clicked on those points and those points came out. The reason I did that, though, is because what I want to do is see if I can modify this shape further by moving that point. I have those 4 arrow keys on my keyboard, right? On the lower right corner of your keyboard?
Yep.
Okay, I'm taking the down pointing arrow and I'm clicking it 1 time. Did you see it move?
Yeah.
I'm clicking it again, and I'll do it 1 more time, just like that. Now I'm going to deselect it so you can see what I did. What I did actually was I further tapered this shape. That was my ultimate goal, is that I further tapered that shape.
Okay. The reason I asked about the lines is I just wanted to make sure I was understanding you right, which I did. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now, I would have not deselected this. I would have just kept right on going. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you some stuff as I go along. So now I'm going to click on my direct selection point, or my direct selection tool again. I'm going to come back and click on that line again, and I'm going to click that point again. Once again, I got that point selected. I'm going to use the up pointing arrow this time, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I deselected so that you could see what I did, and I get something like that.
That is so cool.
What?
That is just so cool.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing. The other thing is I'm not entirely sure that I like the way that this shape wraps around in here. So the other thing that I could do is I could take these shapes and I could select both of those shapes. Now I can get, or actually, I'm sorry, I need to first get my direct selection tool, and I can click on both of those shapes. Okay, now both of those shapes are selected. All of their anchor points are not selected, but they're ready to be selected. You understand what you're looking at this far, right?
Right, right.
Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is hold the Shift key down. I'm going to come in here carefully, and I'm going to click on that first point. Then I'm going to click on the second point. Now I let go of the Shift key, and I'm going to use the down arrow to go 1, 2, 3, and I think I could probably go a little bit more, 4. That might be enough, 4. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here without holding the Shift key down. Very important. Don't hold the Shift key down. Start off by clicking that one shape. That releases the other points up here. Okay? Right. Now hold the Shift key down and go over that second point. Click on that second point. Once again, both of those lines are selected. You got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to use my up arrow to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have both of those shapes where I want them.
That is so cool.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of those shapes, and I'm going to go back into my Pathfinder panel. Before I do this, though, what I think I want to do is I want to take that stroke off, and I want to put black on so that you could actually see. Oops. Yeah, so that you could actually see this. And I think it'll impress you even more when you see this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come to my Pathfinder panel, and I'm going to click on minus front. Now keep in mind, you've got the inside one. The inside one needs to be in front. So to make sure it's in front, I go to the Object menu, and I go to Arrange, and I want to bring it to the front, just to make sure it's where I want it to be. Because what I want to do is I want to punch that center one out of that back one. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Now hold the shift key down. I select that one. Both of those are selected. I choose minus front. And there you go. There's your logo. Now look at what you got. You've got, this is thicker. It goes nice and cleanly thin. This is thicker, and it goes nice and cleanly thin. And you have WRS punched out in the middle. Very nice kind of presentation. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's awesome.
So here's what I want to do. I'm going to try to show you another one, but I think, was it Darius or was Sean? Who wanted to show me their thing?
I did. That's fine. We could do it later.
Well, there is no later. It's 44, so we're running out of time. We only got 15 minutes. So if I don't do it now, we don't do it.
I'll just give me a 5 minute
No,
critique.
no. You can have as much time as you want. I gave time to Laurie. If you, I'm more than happy to look at your work and talk to your work. As a matter of fact, I think it's more important for me to talk to you about your work than it is to talk to you generally about things. So I have no problem. I'm going to stop sharing, okay? And now you go ahead and share.
All right. So this is the name of my company. It's Mountain GPS.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are just a couple of ideas. I like to have the mountains in there, and I'm not sure about the compass. Not sure if that's too much for a logo. That's kind of the question that I had for that one.
Well, first of all, what I would do, I prefer, here's the first thing. I prefer this look right here to this look right here. I like the line creating two separate mountains. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is I would not have the mountains the same exact size. One mountain would be a little smaller than the other.
Okay.
That would be the second thing.
Okay.
The third thing is, instead of having these mountains as triangularly square as they are, I would probably take the mountain in. Select your front mountain. Yeah. Click on the front mountain to select it. All right. Go to the view menu and hide that bounding box because it's interfering. View hide bounding box.
Where are we at?
Right there. No, up. You missed it. Right there. Okay. Now go to the object menu and go to where are we at here? Wait a minute. Hold on. No. I'm sorry. Effect. I'm sorry. Effect. I'm sorry. Wrong place. Go to Effect. Go to Distort and Transform. And go to Roughen. Now, drag the roughen over to where we can see it. No. Drag the whole panel over. There you go. Drag it over. We lost it. We can't see it. You got to drag it to your left. See where the Pathfinder panel is? Move it over on top of the Pathfinder panel so we can see it. Are you there? There you go. Okay. All right. So here's what you want to do. Yeah. Go to, and the points hit smooth instead of corner. Okay. So you see how that's created that shape? Take that detail and drag the detail down to 2 first. Again, there's no automatic set of numbers on this. Drag your size to drag it up. See what it does. Okay, drag it down. Drag it down to 1. Drag it down all the way like to 1. Okay, and now go to detail and drag the detail up. That's much better. There you go. So I don't know whether 19's the answer or not, but you see what I'm trying to say?
No, yeah, I do. I actually, I do. I like that.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is you're adding character to these elements. So there are a couple of things that you consider here. Now, the other thing is that what you might want to do is you might want to simply see whether you could maybe make that back mountain a little bit smaller.
Okay.
That's the other thing. You might want to make the height of that a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would say to you is that your arrows, I like the arrows that go in front of your circles there. I like that very much.
Yeah.
Those arrows are pretty good. The ones in the middle, though, are way too heavy. They need to.
No, I tried to thin them out because they're actually not brushes. They are arrows. Yeah, and that's as thin as I can get them. So maybe I just switch them out for something else.
Well, it all depends on the size of your logo. If your logo is really tiny like that, that might be what the problem is. If you make it, if you design it bigger,
I expanded everything else.
Yeah, and then the other thing is I really don't like your mountain GPS text. I think
that was just kind of a placeholder. That's where I want to put it, and that's not at all what I would use.
Yeah, I like the mountain GPS bold sans serif font that you have there, and I think you should adjust the gap between the two. Mountain GPS, it should be less. And you could do that by actually clicking your cursor in there, and you can take space out between them. I don't know whether you have one space or more than one space. But
yeah, there's a bunch of space in there because at first this arrow was a solid stroke, so it was taking up some space. So I wanted to give it – I hadn't adjusted it since I put that little tiny extra stroke. I expanded that.
Yeah.
It made it thinner so I could put a white stroke on there. Kind of.
There's another thing that you could do. Another thing that you could do is you could put a star between that. You could put a small star between the mountain GPS in that banner area. That's another thing that you could do.
I like that. Okay, that's all that right there. What about this design itself without anything put into it? Is that too?
Well, I don't. Which one? Which one?
This one down at the bottom.
I can't see it. You got to move it up you got to move it up. Can't see it.
I don't know. I've never shared screen before, so
yeah.
I'll move.
There you go. You move the artboard up. Click on the hand tool, the move tool, and just move the artboard up. It's not going to move up.
It's on the same artboard.
Yeah, but you can't get the artboard to go any higher.
Oh yeah, let me try.
How about go view zoom out?
Okay.
That's better. Do it again. View zoom out because it's big. Now you got to move the artboard up if you can. It's still getting. All right, that's a little bit better. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I see what you're doing. Potentially it's okay. You got to figure how to get that type in there though. You have to have the type in there somehow. So your job would be how to put the type in there. You may actually get away with putting MTN GPS very bold like you did right along that baseline of those mountains. That might, something just as simple as that might work.
Just something heavier than the stroke that's making
the mountain. Oh yeah, no, make it pretty heavy. You know what I mean? Make it pretty heavy, and don't make it too small. That's the key is in balancing your elements. Whenever you're doing these designs, for all of you, the idea is to balance your elements. You can't have a symbol that's huge and have type that's small. Last night when I was showing you the branding catalog for Roto Medical, you saw that they very carefully, showed the difference between the symbol and the type, and while they were fairly well balanced, you got a feeling that the word Roto Medical was actually the most dominant thing on there, as opposed to that nice little symbol that they had, or I shouldn't say Roto Medical, but Smile Lock. The word Smile Lock was the really predominant element, even though the image of the little Smile Lock device was bolder. It's still the Smile Lock read stronger. So, you have to think as a person. Let me share my screen here. Here we go. Share screen. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, so you have to think about that. That should be what you're thinking about. What is this here? Okay, so do you have any questions about this thing here?
Thanks for listening.
Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it several times.
All right. Would you like to see one of these things or this thing? Would you like to see me do something here?
Yeah.
Which one? Tell me.
The WPS, just under the one you just did.
This one?
Yeah. Everybody
else okay with that?
Yep.
All right. Edit. Copy. This will probably be the last one because we're edit. Paste. Okay. So once again, what I'm going to do with this, Control Z. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna move this thing over here so I can get at it. Once again, the number one aspect of this is that I have to go type, create outlines, and now that I've created outlines, object ungroup. And what I need to do with this is I need to create overlaps, big time overlaps. So I'm going to really move these elements in on each other. And I'm going to deliberately get them to where they're overlapping, okay? Something like that. See what I'm going for here? Right there, see? And then this thing here, this thing goes way over as well, way on over as well. Something along the lines of that. And if you look at it the way we have it right now, it doesn't look like very much. It really doesn't. But what we're going to do is we're going to select these three letters. See? And you can see all the overlapping and stuff. And actually, in order to make this thing correct, what I really need to do is I need to add another element. And so let me do that. Let me come in and grab this thing and move it down so I have it closer and I can put that element in. The next element that I'm going to add is a rectangular shape. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to create a rectangular shape very much like this. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit further in that direction, right about like that. And I think that's probably pretty good. And again, as I say, I'm not working on perfection. I'm just trying to give you a general idea. So you see now I select this. Can you see all the stuff that's going on here? Actually, I think I might want to actually move this thing down a touch. That works. Yeah, I still may have a bit of a problem with this. I might actually make this thing a little bit smaller. Okay, let's see. I gotta get it. I want to get it right to the top of that shape, right there. Is what I want. It's a little hard to do. There, I think that'll do it. Okay, so now I got these shapes, and once again, I'm going to come up here to my Pathfinder panel, and in this particular case, what I want to do is I want to divide the whole thing up, because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create this overlapping process of negative shapes. I'm trying to create this shape bundle, I guess is the best way to call it. So I'm going to click on this thing and divide the whole thing up. So now the whole thing's divided, and the nice thing about this is it does it very easily, very quickly, and I can now deselect that for a second, or actually I don't want to deselect it. What I want to do is go to Object Ungroup. I want to ungroup that. Okay, now that I've got this thing ungrouped, I can come in here and I can start manipulating color. So I know that I'm going to go with gray over here, and I know that this color is perfectly set up because I did this right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my eyedropper tool out here, okay, because I will be using the eyedropper tool. I'm kind of doing this the easy way because I'm running out of time. So what I would do basically is, and I don't know whether I even set the color up for this or not. I did. Okay, so I have my color. So let me actually use my colors, my chosen colors. In this case, I'm going to go with black, and I'm going to go with this nice little gray here. So I click on that, and there's my gray. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and that is going to be that gray as well. That gray as well. Then I'm going to try to find my R, which is, I believe that's it right there. Yeah, there's the beginning of my R. I think that has to be that color gray. Then this, yes, that has to be that color gray. And then this, yeah, that has to be that color gray. There we go. And then this, that gets that gray. And then down here, this, yes, that gets that gray. Okay, with me so far?
Yeah.
All right. Now I know that there's a couple of areas over here. First of all, this area right here, okay, is going to, yeah, be a problem because I didn't get this thing cut out properly. So, okay, so let me see. I got to cut that bottom, I guess, a little bit better is what it really comes down to. Yeah, see, I ran into a problem with this. Let me do this. Let me come down here. Let me grab this thing, and let me go a little bit higher, right about there. Okay, and let me divide this thing up again. I may have to redo those colors. Let me divide it up again. There we go. Okay, so now I have to get rid of some stuff out here. Object, ungroup. There. Okay, click on that. Get rid of that. There we go. Click on this, get rid of that, delete that. Okay, and I got some stuff along the bottom here that I got to get rid of as well. Got to be very careful doing it. Delete. There we go. I think we're good. Now let's see here. There we go. Delete that. Control Z. Nope, color that. Okay, so now we're back to coloring stuff. So let me go back to my swatches, and that is going to be that gray right there. And this here is going to be white. Or actually, I think it's none. I think I actually delete that. Yes, that's what I do. And then here, this, I believe, also gets deleted. And then that stays black. This stays black. Then in here, there's a color. There it is right there. I delete that. That stays, no, that goes gray. Okay, so that goes gray. And then I believe there's a tiny little piece here. Yes, there is. That goes gray. So far, so good, huh?
Yeah.
See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, and now this also gets that gray. There we go. And I can also make, I think I actually made this piece gray too. I think that actually looks a little bit better like that. And then this thing here, yeah, I think that's okay. And then this guy goes gray as well. And this thing here goes gray as well. So far, that's correct. We're good. There's a little piece up here that's an extra piece. I got to try to get rid of that. There we go. Delete that. There we go. Okay, and now over here, that's gray. And that's gray as well. Then there's a little piece right there, the W. There we go. The W gets deleted. There's a little tiny piece up here, deleted, and deleted. And that more or less does it, okay? So the thing is, I mean, this may look a little hokey to you, but the point is that I just recreated something that I designed earlier. In other words, I actually worked this whole thing out earlier, and I'm just redoing it to show you how I approached redoing it in case you decide you want to try stuff like that. It is 9 o'clock. We are done. I don't want to keep you all night. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something. You have any final thoughts or questions before we call it a night?
No, it flew by. I thank you very much. Thank you, Sean, for showing us your logo. I think that is really awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's really, I really like the arrows and just the whole design, and the roughened mountain just really, I think, kind of finished it.
I think so too.
Yeah, really impressive. I'm going to have to watch this a bunch of times and just follow along as I go and see what I can come up with. But yeah, thank you very much. Very invaluable. I mean, that's why I need to make these things, because that's how I learn. I just got to learn how to use these tools.
So how you other guys, everybody else happy?
Yep.
Okay. Any final questions or anything? Guess what? I'm in Blackboard tomorrow night from 7 o'clock until 11. So if you want to come in, work, or critique, or just talk, say hi, whatever, please feel free to do that. I also am in Blackboard on Friday from 9 o'clock until 12. Okay?
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, you all have a good night, and thank you for coming. I appreciate it when you show up. It's more fun this way.
It is. It's great to talk to everybody.
Yeah, we feel like we're having a real class, right?
Yeah, that's what I love about these. And
Yeah.
I learned so much. You can answer questions, get critiques, all that stuff. So thank all of you very much, and thank you, Bill.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
You guys too.
Darius, you okay? He might have left.